Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Today I'm going to be going over my Rickenbacker horror story. To sum it up, don't buy a Rickenbacker. So this all starts as a young me who dreamed of having a Rickenbacker. I had played Ricks over the years and I never really found one I resonated with. Really not a big fan of the 4003 basses or the 4001s. And it wasn't until I found this bass, which is the 4005 XC, a short scale version of its fully hollow predecessor. Now this bass is priced at $5,000 new. But I had an opportunity to play one when on tour up in Oregon, and I was really impressed with the bass. It has a lot of similar qualities to like a Hofner, but a little more sustained. So I was pretty attracted to it, but not ready to spend that kind of money. Years later, I found a used one for a more realistic price, about $3,000. I'm like, okay, maybe, possibly, but ultimately decided to step away from it. And it wasn't until I found that actually very same bass for sale on Craigslist for $2,500, to which I bought it. It has been a great bass for me until recently I decided to adjust the truss rod. And I hear a crack. And I looked and the truss rod had cracked right down the middle. And I thought I wasn't pushing it that hard. I've done this with Fenders and Gibsons and Ibanez's. Again, this is my first Rick. What went wrong? And upon closer inspection, I noticed one side of the truss rod had been grinded down. And you can even see where some of the finish had been taken off. And I thought, could Rick have really done this? And why? And I realized, oh, the truss rod cover doesn't fit flat unless you have the truss rod pointed towards the grinded portion. So then I did a little bit of research and I actually even found another picture of a 4005 XC truss rod with the same grind mark, however, maybe not as severe. This leads me to believe that they made a batch of these where the truss rod was too prominent and the cover didn't fit on. So their answer was, rather than getting rid of a full batch, let's just grind it good enough, throw it on. I might expect this out of a $200 or $300 guitar, but keep in mind, these are $5,000 instruments. Now, if you still don't believe me that this is a Rickenbacker modification, if you look even closer at the natural wood, it has been lacquered over. And I don't see any evidence of a refinish anywhere on the bass. I can more than confidently say that this left the factory this way. But it doesn't end there. So I sent an email to Rick explaining it, and I was honest. I was disappointed. This had been a bass I wanted a long time. I tried to keep it very factual, and of course I got a response saying, we can't help you. I sent a follow-up response emphasizing, hey, the problem with this bass isn't that I'm not the first owner, but this should have never left the factory to begin with. And if you look at the other example, this isn't the only bass you've left like this. I even found a review of another person having issues with truss rods in a different way on the same model. Then silence. Hadn't received an email back, wasn't looking great. After a few phone calls, I finally got an answer, to which I was met with the same thing. Yeah, we can't help you. Rickenbacker definitely didn't do that. Somebody grinded it. If Rickenbacker had done it, some of the wood would have been taken out. They just refused to admit fault. I had mentioned, hey, there's lacquer over the wood. And to me, the smoking gun really is that this other picture, you can clearly see the grind marks. Of course, I'm not happy with the company. They don't make inexpensive guitars for a reason because they claim they're the best. I would honestly say it is the worst experience I've ever had with a guitar or bass company. The bass sounded good, it used to play good, now I can't adjust the truss rod. And I'm not sure what's gonna happen with this bass, if how much the repair is gonna cost, if I'm gonna end up putting a different fretboard on it, or if I'm gonna sell it as is. Of course, honestly, I'm not gonna lie about its condition. But, my hope was that Rickenbacker would help me out, and again, they told me I was out of luck. So, to pretty much sum it up, very disappointed with Rickenbacker. I understand if I had reached out and said, hey, the bridge had collapsed, why they wouldn't have helped. It had been years, that happens. But the only reason why this bass hadn't been replaced sooner is because no one was gonna notice the truss rod until it had been adjusted. That's just the reality. Unless you were the guy who grinded it, no one was gonna notice that it had been grinded like that until you adjusted it. And at that point, it's too late. So I think Rickenbacker's trying to save themselves a couple bucks. And I honestly think very little of the company at this point. Let me know what you think in the comments. Am I crazy? Should Rickenbacker up their quality control? What experiences have you had with Rickenbacker? And yeah, let's talk about it. Peace.